Questions for reflection. The Apostle Paul had many challenges to face in his pastoral care of the church in Corinth. One of them was an effort among some in the church to question his apostolic authority. The 9th chapter of his first letter reasserts his rights and obligations as an apostle of Jesus Christ. But even more profoundly, it reveals his heart, his passion for Jesus Christ, and his understanding of his obligations as an apostle. In the translation I read for you, the 9th verse says, "For I am under compulsion, and I should be in trouble if I failed to do it." A better translation from the Greek is, "For necessity is laid upon me. Woe to me if I do not preach the gospel." St. Paul knew that the Lord had commanded him to preach and teach the gospel in its fullness in order to win all men and women to faith in Jesus Christ and membership in the church. He had what we used to call a burden for souls. He knew the gospel was true and that all men and women in the world needed to hear it and come to know Jesus Christ. He knew that the church was meant to become the home of the whole human race. Do we believe that? Does the witness of our life demonstrate that we do? Do we have a burden for souls? The psalmist David had great faith, the kind of faith which transformed his life over and over again, enabling him to return to the Lord, even after his sin and failure. He speaks often of living in the house of the Lord. As Christians, we need to understand that the church is the mystical body of Christ, and through our baptism, we were born into it and live in it, even after we leave the church building after Holy Mass. Do we live in the house of the Lord? The passage we heard from the Gospel of St. Luke follows after Jesus had chosen his disciples and given the great Sermon on the Mount. In this section, he's teaching the disciples how they are to live. They are to live as he lived, to love as he loved. And we are called to be his contemporary disciples. We are called to regularly examine ourselves and see how we are doing before we judge others. This kind of examination is a path to holiness and the best antidote to the sin of pride, which is the root of all sins.